it's interesting to watch what's going on out here. This is the West End dry garden. And like I did in that previous video, I'm sending water specifically to certain plants so that I don't have to water by hand. But you know, the irises thrive. I'm looking at lemon balm, currants, yarrow, apples. The apples are doing fine. Well, fine by a certain definition, because the one behind me is about 2.5 feet tall and 4 years old. So, you know, they're growing, but they're growing slowly. And they look healthy. They actually look much healthier than the one that you're looking at. I'm not even sure if you're able to see. Let's see, right? No, you're not able to see it because it's behind this sunflower. But we planted that one last year, and it came up, and it, you know, it's established and it's doing fine. But it's so much sadder than the ones we started from seed. But I've been looking at it this spring, and we've got oats in here, which I planted last fall, and I'm hoping that they'll naturalize. We've got spinach in here, which spreads a little bit more every year. I guess the birds spread the seeds around and whatnot, and it just comes up on its own. There's some lettuce out there that just grows on its own. It's starting to go to seed, which is a good thing, and which is what we need. But I look at some of these plants and I'm like, well, they're doing great, right? Currants are doing great, but they're not spreading. The chives are doing fabulous as adult plants, but they're not spreading. Just those type of things. The things that go to seed, the seeds don't germinate. And my guess is that if we had a really wet year, like 15 to 18 inches of water instead of the normal 12, we'd probably get a lot more things coming up and getting established, because it's got a good seed bank. There are currant seeds and chive seeds, and you know, but I think because it's so dry, they're just not able to get established. And so we have the plants that I have put out here, for the most part. I won't say everything, but for the most part, we have the plants that I have put out here and nothing else. The Schwarzenbeeren. Is going to seed. It's naturalized. And the potatoes, they come up every spring. Every once in a while I stick another one out here. But they're naturalized, and they're doing fine. Not great, but fine. Again, if we got a really wet year, there might actually be something worth harvesting. But for now, it's very dry. It's a drought year. And we normally only get about 12 inches of rain. So what do you say, 8 to 9 maybe less? But it's coming together a little bit at a time. And I apologize for the sight of all you're seeing is the weeds. But that one's a sunflower there. And they're actually much, much smaller than they were at this time last year, probably because they haven't gotten all of the water that they're used to. But a few of them are starting to blossom. But that was what I wanted to talk to you about, was just there's enough water in the ground for the plants to survive, but there's not enough for them to spread or for seedlings to survive. So I need to figure out a way to fix the soil out here. I tried the sweet potatoes, but because there is no water out here, they just all died. I've tried comfrey in a few places, and it seems to do okay. It takes a few years, because it is so dry. It takes a few years for it to get established. Once it's established, the leaves are quite small, I'm looking at the apple tree behind me, and it has a comfrey plant next to it, and that comfrey plant the leaves are probably 4 to 6 inches long. That was planted a year ago this spring. So just things like that, because there is no because of the bad soil and because there isn't enough water, the seeds don't germinate and the plants don't spread very easily. So I'm getting more of a picture of what a desert environment looks like, even though, well, we technically live in a desert environment, but I'm getting more of a picture of what that looks like, because in a desert you'll see plants come up in the spring and they bloom really fast and hard, lots and lots and lots of seeds, and then they go dormant because there's no water in the soil. And so, for the most part, plants in the desert will go dormant during the summer, and they tend to come out earlier in the winter, or in the spring, rather, or thrive all winter, depending on the circumstances. But everything is... I'm doing chop and drop on the weeds, letting the sunflowers go in this area for now, and just trying to get as many of the weeds out as I can, because people complain and don't want the city coming down on me. But I love it. It's beautiful. It's got potatoes growing down there. It's got lovage, yarrow, tansy, some almond. We've got almond trees. We had 3 apricot trees come up this spring. No peach trees came up, no nectarine trees came up, no cherry trees came up, none of the other seeds that I had planted, but we got 3 apricot trees. And, just one little tiny piece at a time, it's coming together. It's going to be a lot more work before it's finished, but I sincerely hope that I will eventually have a mature food forest out here. Dry land, mature food forest. I never want to end these videos. It's like, okay, so it's like when I'm giving a talk or a presentation, it's like, okay, how do I end this thing? So, talk to you later.